ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. Y'all better listen up. This sports talking tough. So if you got a cup, go on and raise it up. I'll raise one with you as we talk about the sports. It's raining stats and rumors. Let us give you the report. This is First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to First and 12 Ounces, episode 10. We're deep into the season now. We're coming off of some big games this past weekend, and we got some big ones coming up this weekend as well. Should be a fun weekend. This past weekend didn't go too well for Texas fans, but hey, the conference title's still an option, and so is college football playoff, as long as we don't have any slips-ups, especially against this weekend against our boy Peso Pavia. Hopefully he keeps his inner Johnny Manziel intact and doesn't display it this week. He had fun with Alabama. Just leave it at that. Don't do it again. We don't need no repeats of that. Speaking of that game, we can lead off with the breaking news that happened on Twitter today when someone posted Quinn 247 image of Quinn saying he was setting out for the remainder of the season to prepare for the NFL, which would be a horrendous thing to do because he doesn't have enough on tape to go to the NFL after being injured for the majority of the season. So kind of funny that came out and everyone's kind of started freaking out a little bit. As soon as I saw it, I laughed and was like, yeah, this is 100% fake. I text you guys and kind of let y'all know about it too and sent y'all the image as well. But it is what it is. He also has came out and already said that it was fake news, so nothing to worry about. I'm sure people are still going to contemplate about stuff because, oh, wait, he did miss media day today too. He didn't go to the media day on Mondays that he normally goes to. So maybe it's something. Yeah, it's a whole lot.
Yeah, he was doing his workouts. Yeah, he came out and said it was fake news, but it's legit.
Yeah,
he hit you with the, he faked you out. He hit you with that Pat Mahomes fake slide.
Yeah. He said what happened was the Saints called him and said, "Hey, look, we got this trash from Oklahoma. It's looking horrible. We might have to bond for you."
Tie him up. Buddha said to borrow, please.
Well, while we're on it, we'll go ahead and touch on that one first. We'll touch on Texas's loss to Georgia. We'll start off with Quinn. The first half, he was 47%, 17 passing yards, no touchdowns, an interception, 3 sacks, and a fumble. Can't really get much uglier than that right there. Just horrible. And like I was telling Buddha before you came on, Bo, Arch did come in and he did outgain Quinn off of 3 plays that he had while he was on the field for the first half. But then I think everything else happened and Sark put him in for whatever reason. I know Buddha didn't kind of agree with it, and it did kind of set did kind of, like Buddha said, he kind of poured gasoline on a situation of people wanting a quarterback coach in Austin, and it's that's all you hear now is he should have kept him in, this and that, and if you know ball, you know who the real quarterback of Texas is. He came in the second half. He was 63%, threw for 194 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 2 sacks, and he did have another fumble. But hey, I think it was just the scheme that Kirby put together was ultimately pretty good to the point that it kept him confused, kept the offensive line confused as well as Quinn. And like Buddha said too on Coffee and Cover 2, he kind of had Sark scratching his head and wondering what to do and where his next step was. But I think our defense played lights out. We did speak on Coffee and Cover 2. The second half, they only gave up a touchdown. They outscored Georgia 15-7 in the second half. So, I mean, if you think about it, we always do the hypothetical. Well, if you take that away, we've said it a bunch of times. Or if you take all the turnovers away, the Texas gave up points off of that game a whole lot different. But you can't do that. That's not how sports work. So it is what it is. I still think our defense is probably one of the best, if not the best in the nation, just because, I mean, our pass defense, and I know Buddha hates when I say it because he doesn't believe in it, but our secondary is living up to DBU better than anyone else.
DBU. Like, that's the thing. Like, just because you have a good defensive back room, there's no claim to say in your DBU.
We've always had that claim. We had that claim before LSU had that claim.
Yeah, I can claim I'm 6'3". I'm not.
I'm just saying. We started DBU, and then y'all rode the coattails afterwards.
That's an eye talk.
That's facts.
You got to rattle off names if you're DBU. Like, that's the thing.
Who's the first? Yeah, I can't. Are you crazy?
You can't name names other people are going to be like, oh, yeah, that guy.
What
You'll
you
be
mean?
guys like, guys will be like, oh, hook 'em, yeah. But like random people, average fans will be
I'm not
like,
talking
oh,
about. I'm not talking about random people. I'm talking about actual athletes that went on to succeed in the NFL.
that's what I'm
Wait,
saying. How many people can you name that the
a shit
average college
ton.
player?
A shit ton.
You get the
It's
same
not, hey,
one.
that's another thing too. It's not my fault.
The same one.
We're talking about Quentin Jammer, Nathan Vasher, Quandre Diggs, Kenny Vaccaro. You know
Quandre
who
Diggs.
that? Hey, you know who that is? Earl
I give you
Thomas.
Quandre. I give you Quandre Diggs. I'll give it to
Earl
you.
Earl Thomas,
That's
Michael
two.
Huff, Michael Griffin, Aaron
See,
Ross.
where you're starting to go deep cuts.
That's not deep cuts. That's two. That's two. That's the first. I named two people that were back to back.
Bo, how many of those names did you go like, oh, I've heard of that name?
I'm not gonna lie, there are only about 2 of them.
Two of them.
See, and then
I'm
that's
saying
the other thing too.
don't have good DBs. But to be DBU, you've got to better rattle off names that the people
I
who
just
just watch
rattled them off.
basketball go, I know those names.
It's not. Hey, it's not my fault that Texas has been good in sports and y'all were in diapers when they were good.
I mean, but like this whole argument is like you got to better rattle off names that people go, oh yeah, I remember those guys, and you can't rattle off
I
seven and
just
only
did. I just because y'all
in,
don't remember them.
in our
Just because
resident
y'all don't
college
remember
football
them
fan,
doesn't mean
only
that they're not
two.
relevant.
Again, they're good. They're just not.
Another thing that Texas set the precedent in is Texas is the first school to win back-to-back Thorpe winners, and then everyone else started to do it. Y'all followed us after that. It's just something like LSU does. They kind of follow on the coattails of something that Texas does.
Yeah,
Just getting him riled up. But the reason I'm saying we got to claim to it more this year too is, hey, how many passing touchdowns has LSU given up?
in the last 6 quarters, one.
You know how many Texas has given up all year?
I guess 0, maybe 1.
Zero. Not a single.
0.
Not a single one. So if that doesn't scream elite defensive backfield, I don't know what does.
Good defensive backroom. That's what I want to make clear. I think it's a very good unit this year. I just think the DBU claim is something because that's more than a year.
Yeah, I mean, and I named off guys that are part of the roster of it.
Household name, Michael Griffin. Everybody knows him. Everybody's got his jersey in the closet. Frat boys are rocking Michael Griffin.
Don't act like you don't know who Kenny Vaccaro is. I guarantee you, when the Saints drafted Kenny Vaccaro, you were going nuts as soon as they did too.
I like Kenny Vaccaro. I did.
Anyways, enough of the DBU arguing for a good little segment. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I think we touched on it a little bit before we got on to. I mean, it's just cleaning up the little mistakes that happened that turned into big mistakes this past Saturday. I don't think that'll happen again for the rest of the year, but we'll see. Still got a long season left. We got Vandy, and then we got a bye week, but should be a fun one. Going to Nashville for the first time in I don't know how long. I couldn't tell you the last time Texas has played in Nashville. Before all of our times for sure. But let's talk about the other ones that played this past weekend. Let's touch on your boys a little bit, Bo. And the Fighting Irish, and actually looking like a complete team for once.
Well, Notre Dame, I've come to notice, if you guys ever do bet on them, don't bet on the first quarter. They are a second through fourth quarter team. They let everyone score, make them feel good, and then just absolutely dog walk them the rest of the game. Most of the time, I mean, if you guys check box scores, every time they give up a touchdown, first quarter. But nonetheless, tack the ground well. Our secondary, lives up to its hype. Still been shutting guys down. I think Georgia Tech's quarterback only threw for like 110, 119 yards on us. A little bit more than what I think most have outside of the kid from Northern Illinois who we don't have to touch on. That was pathetic. But anyway, yeah, so, I mean, Notre Dame's looking great. Like I said previous week, Riley Leonard, I think, is kind of starting to get into a flow a little bit. With the transfers he did get to kind of set him up for success, and I thought he'd be a lot better of a passer this year than what he has been, but it's taken a couple weeks, but he's kind of getting into the flow. But as expected, he's been great on the ground. Another 1 or 2 touchdowns scored last week, so roll into this Navy game that I am incredibly nervous for. The one thing I think they're going to have to really focus on is containing the run, obviously, but because I mean Navy last week highlighted that even their fullback can take over the game. I forget his last name. I think it's Seca or something like that. Anyway, caught a one ball, 50 yards, touchdown, and then I think he ran in like 2 or 3 by himself as well. So, um, uh, on top of having Heisman Horvath going up against us this week, we have their fullback as well, who's kind of become his Robin in that offense, which I think he also helps blocking while he's running incredibly well. But I think it's going to be a good game. Notre Dame's had issues this year with stopping the run. I mean, obviously our defense is really good. We just can't do everything. But yeah, we stop the run and control the clock a little bit. I mean, I think we should have it in the bag. But as we've seen in weeks past, Navy, this is Navy's biggest test they've had. I would have said it would have been Memphis, but they hung with Memphis offensively, which is absolutely insane because I mean, Memphis' offense is, I mean, crazy good. I don't know if you guys have kept up with them after that game, but I think even last week Memphis put up 49 points or 52, and then they play Charlotte again this week. But regardless, God, I never would have expected coming into this week that I'd be worried about a Navy team of all fucking things. But yeah, so I mean, I guess what are your guys' thoughts, keys to victory, kind of what we need to focus on?
I think the key to victory is stopping Horvath. Like that dude is a monster. And I think the biggest issues that we've seen with Notre Dame all year is essentially been their run defense, and they're about to face a monster in Navy. Going into this game, though, Notre Dame they've won the last 6 in a row. So I think the last time I looked it up, the last time Navy won was in 2016 in a 28-27 game. And it was also a neutral site game. So this game is actually being played at MetLife, too. So it's not at either one of their stadiums. Before that, I think the last time they played is when they played in Ireland. And and Notre Dame just beat the brakes off of them.
I think Notre Dame is definitely more athletic than Navy is in terms of your perimeter players. It's a different style of football you're going to be playing against. I think it's a massive challenge for both teams. I think it comes down to how good can Mike Denbrock call plays on offense, because it feels like you're probably going to have to score a lot to kind of make that Navy offense have to do what it doesn't want to do. I think that's probably the key to victory is can you dictate what style of offense Navy has to play. Like Horvath, like he's a great player, but like if he has to throw the ball 35, 40 times, is that going to look good? Are they going to look dominant like they've looked? Like that's probably the key to victory is get ahead and make them play from behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think Horvath's thrown, as far as I know, and I mean you guys know I've been following him just about every week since that Memphis game. I don't think he's thrown any more than maybe 20 times in a single game. I mean, at all. I think the most he's thrown was like 24 times, but I mean he is also holding the best QBR in the country right now. So I mean, incredibly efficient player. I mean, can pass the ball, but I mean he is going up against arguably one of the better secondaries in the country. So
yeah. So he's thrown for 888 yards this year. He's got 10. He's got 10 touchdowns on the year.
I think
just passing. I think he's got like 13 on the ground, doesn't he?
He's got 10 on the ground as well.
I think it's actually a similar style of like key to victory is like LSU is going to have this week against A&M. Like, can you make an offense that doesn't want to throw the ball? Like, that's probably what this thing comes down to. Because if Navy gets out ahead and they can start controlling the ground game, it could be a long day.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a fun game, though. I'm interested. It's going to be our noon kickoff game too, as well. So we'll be able to kick it off as the first one we all touch on. But let's talk about them LSU Tigers and their big win in Arkansas, in Fayetteville. Went down there, handled business pretty easily as well. How are you feeling about going into this weekend and what happened this past weekend?
I think this past weekend is, and I've thought about this a lot, so I don't think I'm a prisoner of the moment. I think that's the most impressive win of the Brian Kelly era. Not due to the opponent, not due to how you beat them, more so due to it was the first time the program looked like it was following the Brian Kelly method and the way he wanted to follow it. So you come off of a massive emotional victory, you storm the field. College game day, 3 of the 5 pick against you. All the betting experts are picking against LSU because it's the classic field storm fade, right? Like that's kind of it's LSU storms the field, fade them. They're going to lose. It's a trap game. They come out and dominate the game. I mean, they led the game from jump. 34-10 is the final. They gave up 1 touchdown on 1 blown coverage. Arkansas was averaging 200 yards a game on the ground. They gave up 38 to them. Arkansas was leading the SEC in 10-yard carries. They had 1. Like LSU really dominated the game on both sides of the ball. And it really set you up to what I think good programs do, and I think programs that can compete for titles. And I'm still not to the point where I want to say LSU can compete for a title right now. But programs that do that show consistency. And that's what LSU showed. That's what they showed on Saturday to me. Now, consistency, like, can you do it again? You're going to go to a place that's going to be playing one of the biggest home games that they've played in a long time this weekend. It's the ABC slot at 6:30. A&M, I mean, realistically, whoever wins this game on Saturday is in the driver's seat to play for the SEC title and kind of walk into the playoff. Like, that's kind of what's on the line this week. Like, College Station's going to be jumping. A&M's a good team. Elko's been a little bit better than we thought he would be. Like, I'll say that. They've played good on defense. They've kind of been what I thought they would be on defense. Le'Veon Moss on offense has been pretty good. Wegman still leaves a lot to be desired, in my opinion. He's been efficient since he came back from his injury deal. But still, like when I look at the LSU team playing A&M, I think the key to victory, like we talked about with Notre Dame, is going to be very similar. Make Wegman beat you, which I kind of have confidence. LSU played really good against the run against Ole Miss and Arkansas. I think if you can make them lean on Wegman, I think you got a really good chance to play because you know LSU's offense can put up points. The running game seems to have gotten a little bit of juice. I mean, you had Caden Durham was the first LSU freshman to go for 3 touchdowns and 100 yards in an SEC road game ever. And when you start listing off some of the LSU running backs that have come through, like that's a pretty big feat that it's never happened. I really like where LSU stands. I mean, I think they match up well against A&M. I think the only thing that's alarming is A&M's interior D-line is pretty stout. And that would be probably the only weakness I would say on the LSU offensive line is the interior, especially LSU. Now, look, all the positives from last week, the negative is LSU had 11 offensive penalties. They had 11 penalties all on offense, 7 procedural that happened in the first half, right? Some of that is like lack of focus on some plays. Like we had one from a wide receiver. We had 3 from the center who's a freshman. I think if you clean that up and you play similar, I think LSU can win this game. But I think, in a crazy environment, if you walk into a buzzsaw and you start killing drives with false starts and illegal motions because you're drifting to the line of scrimmage, you could get yourself into a game you don't want to be in where you're relying on the defense to give 0 up, which I don't know if this defense is there yet. I think they're really good when they can play with confidence. I think if you put them in a situation against a good team where it's like, I don't think you can get into the South Carolina hole again. But I like LSU chances. But again, this is a biggest game of college football this weekend. So, like, go show you can do it on a national stage. You won. You didn't move up. They jumped Tennessee over you. Go prove you can do it again. Like, just keep winning. Then get to the bye week, and let's go crazy on November 9th in Tiger Stadium.
Absolutely. They are going up against, so I did pull this up before we got on. So A&M, their points per game ranking is 16th in the nation that they're allowing. This is their defensive stats. Because their offense, I don't think you'll have, honestly, I think their offense isn't as strong as some people were kind of thinking it is. I mean, Wegman threw 2 picks this past week as well. He's got more interceptions than he does touchdowns on the year. He's got 3 touchdowns and 4 interceptions.
Again, as I said, put the game in his hands, and I really like LSU chances.
Yeah, absolutely. Their rush defense is ranked 29th. Their pass completion defense is 10th. So they're breaking up passes and everything else. But their yards per pass is 37th. So with the way Nuss throws, and he throws it over the middle when he throws a deep ball, that's going to probably be an issue for him. unless they can get some breakups. I mean, they are, like I said, they are ranked 10th in completion ratings on the year. I think, honestly, I think what's going to happen is if y'all's defense and if Weeks keeps playing the way he's playing, I think Wegman struggles, and it might be closer than most people think, but I still think y'all walk away with it. There will be no cups made after this game.
I also think this thing though with the A&M team, like I think they're good. I think they're talented on the defensive line. The defense coming into the year we said was going to be good. I mean, like we watched it against Notre Dame, like they played really well. Their best win is against a bad Missouri team, and I know Mizzou's got one loss, but like Mizzou is flirting with not a good season. Like they've kind of lucked up on the scheduling side of things. They snuck by Vanderbilt. They were down 17-3 to Auburn, who is pretty consistent. Like they're one of the bottom two teams in the SEC, or one of the bottom three. The Mizzou team's not great. Like you beat them when they had a good ranking, but that's about it. And I mean, yeah, like you said, they're not going to make cups for this game. You never know with that fan base. Like that's delusional. Like this is like realistically, like we talked. This is one of their best seasons in 100 years. That's not exaggerating. Like
Yeah.
we talked about on cover two. Since this is the first time an A&M head coach in their first season has gone 6-1 since 1917. I mean, this is a laughing stock of a program that's mediocre. They are off to a really good start. LSU is by far the best team they've played, and I'm not sold that A&M's better than Ole Miss. Right? Like LSU's Ole Miss win is much better to me than the Mizzou win. Like Ole Miss is a good team, going to finish 10-2 probably. That's a really good Ole Miss team. I don't think Mizzou's that good. The fan base, like I'll go at them after LSU beats them, which like I'll keep it classy today. But fan base that's a delusional.
You don't
right?
have
Like
to.
delusional fan base, like they're yapping a lot, but like realistically, like you barely beat a Bowling Green team. You lost to a Notre Dame team that had no offensive identity when they showed up to town, and they beat you in your own place
by 10.
You played Mississippi State pretty close. Like let's be realistic. Like you didn't blow them out the water. You played a bad Florida team, not great. Like you haven't done a whole lot that's impressive. And I get when you go back on the LSU schedule, you go like the South Carolina game. So like if I do the compare thing, like South Carolina's better than Florida. LSU won that one. Like you could do this, like the old like. If you go wins for wins, like the only thing I would say is I think Notre Dame is better than USC. Like I think their loss is a better loss. That's neither here nor there. Like now we look at an LSU team that the defense is a whole different team, and A&M still's hanging their hat on Wegman, who's just not a good quarterback. Like I said, like I really believe if you make Wegman try to beat you, he can't. He's not good. He doesn't know what his like dialect is, and when he's like whether he's talking to the media, his parents, talking to O's the Memphis, like I thought he was mixed when he talked to O's the Memphis.
I know.
The rich white kid, like the Woodlands or whatever. Like he's a rich kid. Like,
yeah.
I saw he's as white as they come. He's talking to O's the Memphis, like, nah, brother. I mean, nah, I'm like, what are we doing over here, brother? Like, you gotta start throwing touchdowns, not picks. I mean, this guy's not. And the milkmen are gonna be juiced up, full of milk. They're gonna be juiced. They're going to be taking laps in that fountain, boy. I'm telling you. They're going to be swimming before the game.
Oh, man. That is...
I don't like A&M whatsoever.
They've already... I'm not sure if you saw it or not, but they've already gotten line for tickets. The student section started camping out Sunday night. Sunday afternoon, they started camping out.
When you're a program who's never won anything, regular season games mean a lot. Hence the program that made cups over a 7 overtime victory against a team that you got bailed out by the refs. Again, neither here nor there. You made souvenir cups for a regular season win. You made cups that people have like in their man caves. You gave up 72 points and made souvenir cups. That's crazy.
What'd they make that for? Is that a bowl game? Nah, that was week 8.
Yeah, that's cult activity, right? Like that's what they are. They're a cult. Like, I don't know whose bed the dog's going to be sleeping in this week, but, like, that's another thing those weirdos do, right? Like, that's another thing these weirdos do. Get up here, whatever her name is. Miss, I don't know what that stupid dog's name is.
I don't know what it is. I do know it. It's Reveille.
That's a good one. But again, ask this question every time A&M comes up. What the fuck is an Aggie? It's a farm boy. It's a farm boy. It's a little farmer. That's what they are. They're little farmers.
They are a fake wannabe military school.
They're farmers dressed up as soldiers. They're playing army in the backyard while they're plowing through their hay.
Do you know that their swords that they have that some of the Corps of Cadets have to be zip tied because there was a fight versus Texas Tech one year and the dude pulled the sword out.
Hey, I look. You know what I'm saying? I think they pull their swords out a little too often, probably. But I think that might be a problem they got.
Oh man, yeah, that should be a fun one. Should be a very entertaining one for sure. It's gonna be rocking. That stadium's gonna be nuts no matter what. Because like you said, it's the best season that they've had in a long time. So, it's all about when that comes crashing down. Let's touch on it while we did before I forget about it. We did talk about student sections, and obviously there was a big incident at the Georgia Texas game with the student section throwing trash on to the field, and it delayed a play, and then the referees reviewed what happened and reversed the call. Texas got hit with a $250,000 fine from it. They also, yeah, they also they're also looking at camera footage, and any student that can be identified is losing sports privileges for the remainder of the year for all UT sports. So if you threw something for the football game, you're not allowed at a baseball game, a basketball game, or anything else coming forward, which kind of sucks for those kids. But hey, we'll see what happens. And then I laugh because everybody's saying, "Oh, this is class. This is classy. I'll see how I do this." And then you go back and you look at all the other teams that have thrown trash on the field, including Georgia. They did it in actually either the national championship or one of the playoff games. They were actually dumping full beers on photographers that were taking pictures. So it happens. It's not a pretty sight. No one likes to see it, but it does happen.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, I don't love it. Like, didn't like to see it. Do think it's classless, but I think it's classless when every program does it because, like, LSU's got their fair share of it. Now, we did need to touch on this. It was the correct call, and from what I've read today and heard, was they were going to overturn it regardless. Basically, what they told Kirby is that they called defensive and they meant to call offensive pass interference.
Ah, okay.
I heard that today, two separate occasions. That the explanation to Kirby was we miscalled it, so we had to stop it. And basically, throughout all the craziness, that kind of just got where it's like, well, they're clearly going to decline it. Like, so, like, they just took it away. Apparently, that's what it was. That there was offensive pass interference. They missaid it out loud and called defensive. The students went ballistic, reasonably so, because it wasn't pass interference.
Yeah.
Right. Also, it's one of the biggest games ever in that stadium, especially in the recent memory.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, I don't like the students going crazy, but I get it's part of it. Like, every big student body that cares is going to go nuts over a call in a massive game that they feel slighted them, especially at that point, because, like, it was, 23-8?
Yep.
At that point, and I remember when they picked it off, watching on the TV, I was like, here comes Texas. Here they come. This puts them right back in the mix.
Yep.
Which it did. It did put him right back in the mix.
Absolutely. All the momentum started to change and everything else with that because we got a touchdown 2 plays after that. So
yeah, like it really did. Like it made that a game again. It made it like, okay, this is gonna be a really good one to the wire. Now it didn't turn out that way.
Yeah.
But I get the passion from the fans. Now, like, again, some of that is like, what do you expect from 20-year-olds who've been drinking all day and are watching something that they've been juiced for since they stepped on campus? Like, again, you don't want to do it, but like,
absolutely. What I did
throw rocks in a glass house either from other fan bases.
Yeah. What I didn't like was Kirby's comments afterwards too, saying, "Well, all you gotta do is throw stuff on the field and calls are gonna get overturned." I'm like, didn't you push a kid last week? Like, shut up. Like, shut up. And you got away with it. You clearly pushed a kid and got away with it. Like, shut up, dude.
It's just old Curb. It's old Curb.
Yeah, for sure. Just ridiculous. But then this week we got. Well, before we get on this week's games, where does Bama go from here?
I would say I would say you need to quit targeting Ryan Williams 18 times a game and maybe look for another receiver that has decent hands, which I'd hope to God in the SEC and the talent pool you bring in, you'd have another viable receiver. I mean, I get it. He's the freshman phenom, and everybody wants to be, like you want him to be the centerpiece of your offense. Dude, you've got so many other players that need to show out to actually, if you want to win games, you got to look elsewhere. I get it. He's good, but damn. I mean, he went 8 for 18. All of your misses were to him, trying to force feed him the ball.
Yeah.
Brother ain't Calvin Johnson. Quit tossing him the damn ball. If he's open, of course, get it to him. Or you run some schemes for him, but 18 times? And he pulls in not even half of them?
His best trait is open field running. Like, his best thing that he does is ball in space. He's not yet to the point where he can go moss people on a regular basis. He's not really a one-on-one jump ball guy yet. I think he gets there because he's clearly a freak talent.
Yes.
The problem is, though, is like you say, where else do they throw the ball? This is the problem. Like, what else do you do? The O-line's not been great. Their running game is a joke. Right? Like, they cannot run the ball. And then, as I've been pounding the table for 4 weeks now, they are bad in the secondary. And again, Tennessee did not look good against them. Tennessee looked like the Tennessee we thought they would look like. Nico missed so many open guys. That game could have been ugly. If you're in Tuscaloosa right now, I would be like, this could go downhill against some of the teams we got to play. Right? Like, I'm not saying, like, they played Mizzou this week. Mizzou's been a dumpster fire on offense to this point.
I was going to say, who else do they have on their schedule?
They got LSU, but again,
yeah,
Mizzou does roll out Luther Burden. It's like they do roll out a guy that if can beat this bad secondary. The Alabama, and again, it's crazy that they thought nothing would happen. You lost the best coach to ever do it, and you just acted like you would keep rolling out and being what you were. They had 30-something guys go in the portal.
Yeah,
I think that was really good, but when you basically go, we have a 17-year-old who's a stud, and that's about all we got. We got this white kid with a Terminator arm that returns punts. Other than that, we don't really have a whole lot. What can you do? You got to be a pocket passer now because we can't let you just run all game because if you get hurt, we might lose 6 games. We might just lose out. And then there's watching that game, Nico could have, if he was on, that game could have been ugly. I mean, he missed 3 or 4 that were touchdowns that he just bad. That's another one we can talk on while we're here.
I was about that was leading into my next question. Tennessee, are they real?
No.
Unanimous. No, absolutely not.
Clear end.
And I mean, it's easy to touch on now because to start the year, Nico was going out there slinging the rock. What the hell happened? He's actually gone up against some decent secondaries outside of Bama because he couldn't just hit a damn pass. But regardless, now they're leaning more on the run game, where Sampson kills it. The kid's a dog. I mean, you didn't even hear about him at the beginning of the year. At least I didn't. I mean, all you were hearing about is how good Nico, whatever the hell, how good he was coming into this year. Well, guess what? Now he can't throw the damn ball. He's looking like Alex Orji, and they just need to be pounding the rock. You need to focus on your strengths, because Nico ain't it. I mean, he's played, 3 bad weeks now?
Yeah.
Against a terrible secondary in Bama. I mean, for fuck's sakes, how many passing yards did they let up to Peso Pavia in that game? When they played. I mean, that's I don't know. I'm gonna get off my soapbox on that.
Arkansas beat Nico, and Nico looked really bad in that game. Arkansas rolled out the exact same defense against Nuss. So, if you re-look at that Arkansas-Tennessee game, they gave all. If you watch the LSU game, I know y'all probably didn't watch that one because the Texas game was on. Arkansas's game plan was we're just going to take away the deep ball and we're going to give you the 7 to 12 yard pass all night. Nuss was just a veteran and realized it and went, okay, I can do this all night. If you're going to give me 4 yards of separation on 7 yard passes, I can do this all night. Nico never clicked into that. He's a freshman. But the thing that to me stands out with Tennessee is like Samson's a stud. But what we talked about earlier in the year, and people in the TikTok live were going like we were crazy. Who's their receivers? They don't have receivers that can really create on their own. So you rely a lot on scheme and then Nico's ability to process. He's a freshman. And basically you're asking him like, you won the game against Bama against I think Bama is just not terrific. But like Nico's not mature enough or ready yet to probably put everything on him. Like he needs receivers to get open. Now I do think we say are they I think they're pretenders in terms of a title. I think they're a legitimate top 15 team. Because when you have Samson and then the D line that they roll out, you're gonna beat a lot of people. Like James Pierce is a freak. You're gonna beat a lot of people with that. But I don't think they can beat the top tier teams. And again, I know they're gonna watch this and be like, "What do you mean we can't? We just beat Bama. Bama's not a top tier team this year." I want to make that clear. Bama's a top 15, top 20 team this year, probably.
Gotcha. Yeah. Going into that, and then we'll touch on some of these other games before we get on ours next week. For next week, Nebraska, Ohio State. Can Nebraska do something to Ohio State to make just some kind of statement of hey, look, we're still here or anything else? Because Ohio State's playing great ball. They outside of that Oregon loss, which was a crazy one, at that, they've looked good all year. So now they're coming up against Nebraska, who's coming off of another week of just not looking good whatsoever.
Dog walked by IU, and IU's looked phenomenal. 52-7.
And baby Mahomes is just not it.
No, I don't think Nebraska can do anything that makes them feel. I think they might. I think the game. I don't think it's 56-7. I'll put it that way. I think they can make it respectable in a half. I think they still lose by 2 or 3 touchdowns, but I don't think it looks like the Indiana game because I just think rules not. But again, we always talk about all these coaches and losing big games. Matt Rule's 2-20 against ranked teams or whatever it is in his career. He don't win them either.
Yeah.
This is 2 coaches that kind of now Ryan Day. He gonna win this one. This is what he does. This is his bag. He in his bag right now. He has to annihilate. Done. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Smith and fucking Ibuka are both gonna have probably about 3 touchdowns apiece.
Yeah.
Ryan Day's like this. A team I'm favored by 16. This is where I cook.
All right, here's the other one. The other one we'll touch on with one team clearly on the decline, the other one with a question mark next to their name. Ole Miss, OU. What happens there? Do we see? Hey, and speaking of OU, just fired their offensive coordinator too. So are we going to get a different look? Is Jackson Arnold going to be your starter this week, or are you going back to the freshman?
I don't think Arnold wants to go out there and go play. But if you get, who are they bringing up as interim? Or are they just hiring? Who's their OC now?
Somebody within is stepping up and taking a play call.
That's what I figured. But hope to God Arnold likes playing for him because he hates the program. Obviously, he's been wanting to sit out and he's been playing like shit. So you're coming into an Ole Miss game. You are. I don't even want to say David versus Goliath. You are David's pinky toe taking on Goliath. I think that's going to be the IU and Nebraska score. And I don't even know if they get 7. I think they get 3. I think they maybe get a field goal, maybe if they're lucky, or Ole Miss, or they're just going to come out and roll out with their second string guys, probably at the start of the half.
So Joe John Finley, who was the co-offensive coordinator, is taking over as the interim.
When you look at this OU team, this is another one. Lane is about to go nuts on him. He's going to get him a win over OU, and he's going to try to drop 50. OU, I took this stat to y'all earlier. We don't know how bad their offense is. They're dead last in the SEC in punts per game. They average 6 a game. That's a huge number. The second worst is South Carolina, and they average 4. You're averaging 2 more punts a game than the next worst team in the SEC. It's the worst offense in the conference by a mile. it may be the worst offense in the country. Like, I mean, it's a bad offense. They don't do anything well. I can't name one of their running backs. They haven't had a running back do anything this year. The quarterbacks, the only reason we can name them is because they've both been bad. One of them was like highly touted, but he's been bad. The receivers have been bad. The offensive line has been atrocious. Like, I just don't see it. Like, I watched this Ole Miss team up close a couple weeks ago. Ole Miss can get after the quarterback. They're really good, and then they got some good cover guys too. I just don't see OU having any offensive success. Ole Miss is the better version of South Carolina. Like the way they try to run the off, like they're the better version. It's a quarterback that can kind of make plays. It's a defense that gets after you. I think Ole Miss could win this game by 40. Like, not even like making a joke at OU. Like I realistically think this game could be like 45-3.
Yeah, that's mad.
Well, and I mean even the way Ole Miss, the way they get after the ball. I mean, going into the LSU game, I mean they ranked very highly in the country in sacks per game.
Fourth.
Exactly. So I mean, you're a top 5 team at getting after the quarterback, and you've got 3 cute ball. I mean, at least 2 they're probably going to be rolling out because I mean they're bad. I mean they're absolutely atrocious, but. I mean, it's going to be a long day for them. I mean, it's just going to be score after score after score, and
it's a long season for them. Let's just be.
I mean, they have nothing. They're going to have to completely revamp, and you're going to lose a ton of kids probably to the transfer portal. This coming up off season, and I don't even know who you'd keep. I mean, you'd have some of these incoming freshmen and stuff, but I mean that's going to be about it.
You lose defensive guys that they can play a little bit. You're going to lose some of the guys that you would look at on the defensive side going, well, he's a sophomore. We can build something. And he's going to be like, I'm out of here. I'm going somewhere that won 8 games last year. I'm at least going to try to make a push for the playoff. Because like this, I think Ole Miss, again, they're the Nebraska. They're the new age Nebraska. Like this feels like a 10-year type problem that they're dealing with. Because it doesn't feel – Brent Venables' buyout is $44 million. It's like you're locked to him. Like,
unfortunately.
They signed that. What did I say over the summer? I was like, why are they signing this? Like, why? Like, they beat Texas last year. That was it. That was their big thing that they did last year was they beat Texas.
And the reason you beat Texas, you scared off to Oregon.
And it's been, I mean.
We can dog on them all day, but I mean, like, it truly is like a bad situation. And like, my friends that are fans of them, like I do kind of feel, because I know like when you're staring that in the face, it's like this isn't fun, because it becomes where it's like not even fun to talk shit. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not a Texas fan, so like I don't have a hatred for OU. Like when LSU was, this is not even like you can't even talk shit to people. Like this is miserable. Like it's to the point now where like when Texas shows up, it'll be like I don't know, like we'll get you. It's the rivalry game, but like they knew going into that game, like we don't really have a prayer.
Exactly. They were trying to act like they do, though. False confidence was hilarious. But I guess they didn't watch enough film. Another one of the big ones. It's going to be one of our pick'ems that we're not going to. We'll tread on it lightly. Is Oregon, Illinois. We'll see if Illinois is real. Bo, you've been talking about Illinois for from the jump. It's one of your teams you've been mentioning week in, week out. And here they come.
This is going to be Illinois. Well, I would have said outside of Michigan at the start of the season, but I mean, we know how terrible they are, and how terrible they've been because I've talked shit on them every single week. You go from fucking hero, top of the fucking pinnacle, the college football mountain. You're in the valley. I mean, you are buried under the valley. You are in the Marianas Trench of football. But anyway, so Illinois looked great on the defensive end. They apply a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Altmaier actually last week against Michigan didn't look great. They did have a couple really good stops on defense, and they did roll out another quarterback instead of Orji. It was the
Warren.
My God. Who was it?
Or no, Tuttle.
Yeah, it was Tuttle. So rolled him out. I think he had 2 picks in that game. I think one of them maybe got returned for pick 6, but Illinois came out on top of Michigan. And even getting, I think 1 or 2 of the scores may have been defensive, but still, I mean, regardless, you're going up against, I mean, a decent defensive matchup there. Illinois kind of spread the love a little bit between pass and the run. So I think it's going to be a really big test for them coming into this Oregon game. As we know, Dylan Gabriel can air it out and, win through the air. But, I mean, realistically, Illinois may be able to keep up with them because Gabriel's passing stats look great. But how many times this year has he kind of flirted with a loss?
I agree with that.
I mean, seriously. I mean, how many times has Oregon flirted with losses this year? I mean, I know they've looked great and everything's still undefeated, but that loss to oh my god, Ohio State. My God, I don't know why I just lost that. You about lost to Boise State. There were two. They had two other games on their schedule. They almost lost to.
They won by 10 against Idaho to open the season, but it wasn't a pretty one. It was close the whole way. So it's Idaho, Boise State, and Ohio State were their toughest so far.
Those were their three toughest. Okay, I couldn't remember if it was two or three games, but I mean, regardless, I mean, if you're going to let Illinois hang in there with you, I mean, they could very well maybe pull off an upset, especially if they can control the field a little bit. And I mean, I'm not doubting Gabriel by any stretch, but I mean, I think that's going to be a very, very good game to watch this weekend. Another Big Ten matchup, and if they upset them, I mean, they could be looking at a Big Ten title possibly if they take off the champs off top of the mountain. So I mean, we'll see how it goes, but because I don't trust Penn State. I mean, let's be honest, the Nittany Lions they're frauds. Yeah, nobody, not a soul. They suck. Drew Aller is trash. He's horrible. Cannot stand him.
The Illinois unis are the best unis I've ever seen.
Their throwbacks uniforms. Oh my God, those were perfect.
It's the best uniform of all time.
They said they were like 2 or 3 hours per helmet. I think is what they spent painting them, or longer.
Unbelievably nice. We got LSU, A&M, another one of our pick ones, which is going to be a good one. I think we touched on it and kind of pretty much said our keys to victory for sure. Texas, Vandy. I think Texas comes out. I think they look different. We kind of touched on them as well. We did touch on Notre Dame, Navy as well. Outside of that, there isn't really much else. I think
Boise State in the UNLV game could have. That's pretty decent. It's gonna be some pretty big implications come playoffs.
Absolutely. Everything is wide open right now, conference wise too. Mm-hmm. Every single conference, it's like you got some battles that are going to come down here to determine the conferences. Even the ACC with Miami rolling and Clemson both rolling, that looks like it's going to be a matchup that's going to be crazy. But other than that, I think that's all we got for them, fellas. We will do our pick'ems on Friday, unless I'm missing anything. Oh, Bo, you got something coming up here in the next few days. What is it again? I think it's like badminton or something that you're into.
Championship 19. We're going to be hanging up our 19th banner. No, guys. So my favorite time of the year brought me on. Boone and Pete brought me on for some basketball knowledge. So season kicks off tomorrow. My favorite time of year. Love basketball. It's probably one of my favorite sports to cover. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to maybe pick like a game or two a week that I'm looking at, because obviously, as most of you know that are sports fans, there's like 6, 8, 12 games a night sometimes. So obviously I can't cover them all unless I'm going to be on here every day for about an hour or two in the morning. So, but no, so NBA kickoff, it's going to be the Boston Celtics taking on the Knicks. So you've got a conference matchup on top of a rivalry. So that's going to be a great game. And then we're looking at the Lakers are going to be taking on the Timberwolves, I believe, in that Western Conference matchup. So 2 really good games to kick off the year. I cannot wait to see how my Celtics look. They're coming in, obviously, as returning champs, but taking on the new look Knicks. Team looks a little bit different now with Cat at center. I don't want to say it's going to be a dog walk, but I mean, we're going to have to play really well because Cat can get hot from 3, and we tend to have an issue guarding 3-point shooters. If they get hot on us, it's going to be a long night for Boston. As for like the Lakers and the Timberwolves game, Braun's just going to have to come out and, assert his dominance on the Young Bucks. So Anthony Edwards thinks he's going to come in, take over the league. LeBron's just got to come in and put a stop to it game one. So, and hopefully Anthony Davis isn't made of glass this year and actually plays every game. I mean,
I knew that was going to get a reaction from Boo.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Boo's all-time favorite player.
And that's the thing. I've loved AD since he was at Kentucky. Like, I am obviously solely a Celtics fan, but I'm also very much a player, like, follower. I have loved Anthony Davis ever since he was with the Pelicans, and phenomenal player. I mean, deserves more Defensive Player of the Years than what he has, because fuck that French guy. He doesn't even deserve half of them. But AD, I don't know. He just got to stay healthy on the court. And I mean, he could be an all-time great power forward if he could stay fucking healthy and quit twisting his ankle. But I digress. So if you guys do want a season-long bet that I do really like, as long as barring any injuries, of course, my favorite for Rookie of the Year right now, which granted his value has kind of diminished, I think, since the start of the year, but Zach Edey for the Grizzlies. He's at plus 290 right now. I just checked right before we started recording. He's paired up with Ja Morant. Yes, guys, Ja Morant is back. He's not flashing guns anymore. It's a wonderful thing. He's keeping it in his holster, locked up in his gun safe. Let's hope. And I hope his media team this year kind of keeps him on a tight leash, but we'll see. No, but seriously, Edey could not have gotten into any better situation than playing with Ja. Grizzlies badly needed a center, and they got the best one from college basketball last year. So, ready for a really exciting season. And then, I'm going to maybe try to look at covering more games, obviously, on here, other than trying to make other videos during the week. But,
yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you got for me for right now. So, and then I'm going to try to send some picks out as well. I'll try to send those out during the week. So I'll try to have I'll try to do like 2 or 3 props per day is what I'll try doing. And keeping it kind of light.
Works for us, brother. Works for us. All right, guys, that's all we got for y'all for now. I will be releasing our pick'ems that we're doing for the week. We will be doing those on live on Friday as always, and then getting you started. I will be forcing Bo to put some NBA content out as well. So we'll stay on top of it and have some fun with it. As always, thanks for tuning in, guys. Y'all got anything for him?
I do have one thing. I know normally I'm cheering on my service schools, but fuck Navy! They can lick Notre Dame's ass!
Crazy talk about
Pause. Anyway, so down with Heisman Horvath. He's a fraud. Never trusted him. He's ass. Xavier Watts is going to pick him off twice, and Howard Cross. Okay, I can't even say the rest of that. Okay, we're going to go ahead and end it. See you guys. Peace.
All right, guys. Have a good one. We'll catch you on Friday. Oh, man.
First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. Y'all better listen up. This sports talking tough. So if you got a cup, go on and raise it up. I'll raise one with you as we talk about the sports. It's raining stats and rumors. Let us give you the report.